minutes.
I'd like to begin by thanking Chairman Lucas and Ranking Member Lofgren for convening this hearing and for our witnesses today. Building AI systems responsibly is vital. I believe Congress is instrumental in providing the guardrails with which AI can be implemented. However, there's much that the private sector must do as well. Dr. Chowdhury, how should we audit AI systems to ensure that they do not provide unintended output? How do we ensure that companies that create the algorithms are using accurate data sets when training the system? And also, I've met with Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, and each have different stances on the need for guardrails within their companies. One representative of one of these companies says it's actually Congress's job. So do we need a system like the European Union's AI Act, which includes the concept of triangles of risk, and how can Congress learn from the Europeans' concept?
You are speaking to my heart. This is what I've been spending the past 7 years of my life doing. Interesting to note that I'm not a computer scientist by background. I'm a social scientist. So I fundamentally think about impact on people and society. I would actually direct you to think about the way the Digital Services Act is constructed, where they've actually defined 5 areas. These are including things like impact on elections and democracy, impact on things like mental health, and more like socially developed issues, and developing audits around them for companies that have the at-scale level of impact. Also, I am an audit consultant for the Digital Services Act, helping them construct these methodologies. I will add that it is not easy, and not only for traditional machine learning and AI models, but in generative AI, now we have a whole other ballgame. So really what the investment is needed here is in this workforce development of critical thinkers and algorithmic auditors.
Great. Follow-up question. When we go to a search engine or we have a video conference, do you believe that there should be safeguards so that consumers understand if the data that they're receiving is organic and believable and, most important, trustworthy?
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Farshi, first of all, I'd like to say that I was a little nervous when I first had my my electric car, my Chevy Bolt, drive itself down the road. When I came up to that first curve, and it did it itself. All right, but I had a steering wheel to be able to control it, to take over. 9 days ago, I met with local union leaders from our bus systems in Bloomington and Rockford, Illinois, and they had concerns about autonomous bus systems. What does it mean for the safety of those that are on their buses or the safety of those folks that are standing on a sidewalk? AVs are complicated technology with extensive programming. How do we ensure safety if we're going to put children on school buses? How do we protect our autonomous vehicles from those that might want to hack them and cause problems?
So the technology is still very early, but there are lessons that we've learned in the past that have helped create a certain level of safety for complicated machines and technologies. And I think the best lesson there is in aviation. So in aviation, there were certain guidelines that had to be met for an airplane to be able to fly. And now aviation has become one of the most safe forms of transportation. I feel like we're still kind of in the early part of the 20th century on the AV side. We still don't know exactly what the failure modes of these machines are. There's still rapid iteration going on. They're perhaps 98% safe, but they have to be 99.999% safe. And once the technologies are matured, then when we identify what the weak points of these technologies are, we will come up with a framework to audit the technologies to make sure that, okay, if a vehicle passes these tests, just like what we have, for example, with crashworthiness, if a vehicle passes these tests, we have this level of certainty that this vehicle will be safe in most circumstances, and I think that safety should be higher than that of a human driver. So if a human driver, because humans make errors, if a human driver makes an error that leads to an accident every 100,000 miles, then these vehicles have to be audited to be safe for at least 100,000 miles. And once they pass that threshold, then we should consider them for use. So I think we're still 2 steps away from being able to identify that regulatory framework to be able to audit these machines to be sure that they are safer than human drivers.
Thank you very much for your testimony today, and I yield back the balance of my time.